When you say I can't, that opportunity vanishes forever. And this is something that was a learned behavior. A lot of us grew up in households where money was an issue. We heard our parents say, we can't afford that. You can't do that. I can't do this. Like, I remember I was on a plane ride recently, and this kid was walking by first class with his dad, and he goes, Dad, why can't we sit up there? Like, look at these spots. And the dad goes, oh, we can't afford that. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of the re-education that needs to take place is in the household. These belief systems, this poor person's and victim's mentality is passed on from generation to generation to generation. Welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Crane. Today I want to talk to you guys about how to take a thought or an idea and manifest it into a real thing, a reality for yourself. Whether it's a business, a relationship, a career change, a big change in your life. I want to talk to you about that process because so many people, number one, are scared of change or they don't know how to enact change. And for me, I'm always thinking about ways that I can make an impact, ways that I can express my creative genius on the world and change lives. That's just something that's on my heart all the time, is how to grow, how to evolve, always learning, always evolving. It's fun for me. It's exciting. I don't want to be the same next year as I am today. That would be a big shame in my life. That would be a waste of time. Next year, I want to be almost unrecognizable compared to the man I am today, as far as what I'm learning, what I'm talking about, how I move, how I've evolved, how I'm taking care of my family, the things that we're doing. I want to soak up and experience everything that this life has to offer. And so recently I started thinking about, as I'm building my company, Unstoppable 365, we're growing rapidly. I have a lot of amazing team members. We have systems in place. I have less work to do. We're making more money and changing more lives than ever, and I have less work to do. Like, how cool is that? That's the goal for a business owner. You want to train and delegate, train and delegate, train and delegate. And really, for me, what I love to do is share content and messages. I love to build relationships. I love to speak on stages. And those are the things that I focus on each and every day. And also continuing my education, listening to podcasts, reading books, getting around, thought leaders and some of the most intelligent people in the world and picking their brains and observing them and getting mentorship from them. That's my focus going into 2025. So I started thinking about, I'm always thinking about next moves, next levels, where I want to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years from now. I know down the road, from a business standpoint, getting into real estate will be a play. Investing in stocks, crypto, stuff like that's always a constant thing. But then I was thinking about what's something that I can create that's going to have a massive impact that could almost be, something adjacent to Unstoppable or similar to the business I built at Unstoppable, but for the youth. I'm trying to think, how can I give back to the younger generation? And just the other day, I was at the cigar shop with my uncle, and he was asking me, like, what's next for you, man? I see what you're building with Unstoppable in your company. Have you thought about what's next? Have you thought about a nonprofit? And I go, yeah, man, actually I have. I've been thinking about it a lot recently and how I can create a foundation or nonprofit. I guess the next thing was like, who's it going to be for? In the past, me and my wife had talked about creating a foundation for kids with cancer or kids that are sick. And that stems directly from my experience being in the hospital with Scarlett when she was 3 for 2 weeks. She had a life-threatening ailment with some complicated pneumonia, and her lung was collapsed, and they had to do multiple operations on her. And it was terrifying from a parent's perspective. Like, one of the most difficult things I've ever been through in my life, seeing my baby girl suffer and struggle like that. And so, that was something me and my wife had talked about. And then recently, one of the coaches in Unstoppable, one of my good friends, Matt Fleming, and I talked about sober living homes and, giving guys resources with personal development type resources, books to read, podcasts, events to go to, gym memberships, like really coaching them and helping them to not get sober, but then to be on a really good trajectory and path in life to go out and create amazing lives for themselves. So that was one idea. And then this morning I was thinking about kids specifically, like how can I get through to the younger generation and help set them up on a path for success? Kids from all backgrounds in my local community, kids that are considered, poor, middle class, kids from single parents, right? And then even like kids that are doing well, middle class, upper middle class, wealthy kids. We have the full spectrum in Santa Barbara. I mean, we live in an affluent area, so I don't think there's really poor people here. Like when I think of poor, I think of guys living on the streets, homeless. Like in America, I mean, most families aren't that destitute compared to the rest of the world. But the problem that I see for young people is the lack of leadership and the poor examples that they have. Like for me growing up, I had good and bad examples, but those bad examples were really enticing. I went down that path for a while. And so not just the examples and the leadership, but the education children get both at home and at school. We know when you go to school, you learn the basics. You learn the fundamentals. Math is important to learn. It's important to learn how to read and to be able to write. But then as you get older, a lot of the subjects don't really apply to life. Like a lot of the stuff I learned in junior high and high school, I never learned. I like history. Math is important because you need to learn how to count and add up, your money, your digits in your bank account. Math is important for your brain. Reading and writing, very important to be able to articulate a message, to be able to, to be able to give a point, to be able to debate people, to be able to stress opinions and things that matter to you. You want to be articulate. You get that through repetition, but also reading and writing. It wires the brain a certain way. Memory, speed of thought, all those things are important. But a lot of young people aren't getting the education they need to really go out and be successful in life. What sparked that thought this morning is me and my wife were talking about somebody, and my wife had wanted to go on a trip or do something with a family member and some friends, and one of the individuals said, "Oh, I can't afford that. Oh, that's too much. I can't afford that." And I hate when I hear that come out of somebody's mouth, because what you're doing is you're closing the door on an opportunity right away. Instead of saying, "How can I afford that? How can I save up for that? How can I make that work?" They close the door on the opportunity by saying, "I can't." When you say "I can't," that opportunity vanishes forever. And this is something that was a learned behavior. A lot of us grew up in households where money was an issue. We heard our parents say, "We can't afford that. You can't do that. I can't do this." Like, I remember I was on a plane ride recently, and this kid was walking by first class with his dad, and he goes, "Dad, why can't we sit up there? Like, look at these spots." And the dad goes, "Oh, we can't afford that." That's what I'm talking about. A lot of the re-education that needs to take place is in the household. These belief systems, this poor person's and victim's mentality is passed on from generation to generation to generation. Like, oh, the rich people have it. The rich people got it good, but we don't. We can't. We're poor. Well, you just made bad fucking choices. That's what it comes down to. You chose a job that limited your ability to grow in your financial position, and you didn't think outside the box or find alternative solutions. But anyway, I see this happening a lot. And to a lesser degree nowadays, like social media, the internet, podcasts, younger people are being exposed to new belief systems, new ways of thinking, because it all comes down to your belief system and your way of thinking. If you want to be rich, if you want to be successful, if you want to create a life without restraint, a life by design, it starts with your belief that it's possible. Like, you can achieve it. You have to believe that. And this is me talking to the kids. Right? I want to teach kids how to think in a way that's conducive to unlimited amounts of growth in their life. I want to teach them how to believe in themselves through autosuggestion, through positive self-talk. And then the information they're taking in, the right books, the right podcasts, the right examples. And then obviously teaching them the right habits when it comes to health, how to be disciplined and read and study the right material, how to develop routines that are going to lead to a better quality of life long-term. The right people to surround themselves with, meaning relationships. All these things that I coach and teach men nowadays, and the things that took me 12 years to figure out on my journey of personal development, I want to give back and share that with younger people earlier on in their life, so those seeds are planted, but then they can go enact those things in life to have not only more control, but less restriction, more opportunity, true abundance. And so I was thinking about this morning. I go, man, I'm going to create a nonprofit here in Santa Barbara in 2025, specifically to focus on personal development for young people, and maybe the ages of 9 to 13 and beyond. I don't know. But the point of this started off just as a thought. And because I was starting to talk about it out loud, and my uncle asked me that question the other day, and then this morning I got in ChatGPT and I started asking ChatGPT for names and kind of like, certain things to help guide me towards coming to an answer, coming to a decision about what I want to call this nonprofit, who it's going to be for, how I'm going to provide value and resources. Like, the wheels start turning. So the point of this podcast is that when you guys have an idea or thought, don't let it die. Don't sleep on it. Don't be scared to talk about it. You have amazing resources like ChatGPT. You could ask questions. I asked ChatGPT, give me a name for a nonprofit for kids focused on personal development. And it gave me a name. And I said, well, give me 10 names. And it gave me 10 names. And I said, okay, now give me 10 acronyms for those names. And before long, I had all these different options to choose from. Like, wow, that's a cool name. That's a cool name. That's a cool name. Then I start asking ChatGPT, what are resources that kids in elementary school don't have that would help them to be successful in life related to finance, health, nutrition, personal development. So now I'm interacting with ChatGPT and this technology, and I'm getting all this feedback, and now my wheels are turning even that much more, and I'm taking notes. These are seeds planted that are going to come to fruition in the future because I continue to think about these things. I continue to talk about them. I come here and share it on a podcast. This is helping me and my brain to process it even that much more. And, this wouldn't happen if I wasn't willing to talk about it even before I'm ready to maybe build it or before it was a finished product. A lot of you guys are just scared to talk about and discuss what you want to do in your life. Like, there's no limitations. You can go out and do whatever you want, but get in the habit of talking about it. Call your shot. Do your research. Look up this information. Use these tools like ChatGPT or get counsel from somebody who's been there and done it. Pick their brain. Take them to lunch. Take them to coffee. There's so many ways, man, to take your ideas and your creative energy and manifest it into a tangible, real thing in your life, whether it's a non-for-profit like I'm going to do, the current business I run that started off as an idea, this podcast, this Life by Design I've created, all this started as a mere thought and vision that I had the courage to pursue, that I had the courage to articulate and share with other people. When you do that, your brain starts processing and working in a different way. Your brain's going to start to spit out these ideas and these visions of what could be down the road. Hold on to that energy. Pursue it. Don't let it die out. Too many of you get a thought and idea and you might talk about it once in a while, but you never do anything about it. Get in the habit of taking massive action immediately. And I'm telling you, man, you could produce and achieve and bring forth so many cool things in your life, so many ideas, so many projects, so many businesses, so much stuff that would impact other people's lives. This is how you stay inspired every step of the way. This is how life doesn't get stale for you. It doesn't get old. It's not just another day. You're not just going through the motions. This is how you can wake up every day and feel inspired and grateful for what you're doing because you're pursuing these feelings inside of you. Like you can actually turn them into a viable, real thing. You can. This is how it works. Whether you call it manifestation or whatever you want to call it, this is the path of entrepreneurship. This is innovation. This is how you take the creative blessings you've been gifted and manifest a beautiful life for you that impacts other people as well.